Boruto Uzumaki may have done the one thing that Kashin Koji has been warning against from the very beginning. We already know Boruto threw the timeline into chaos when he convinced Kawaki, hey fam, go get those limiters taken off. A single act that shattered Kashin Koji's carefully predicted futures, his manipulated timeline, and it forced the current timeline into an unstable state. But now, Boruto, he's done it again. He secretly approached Momoshiki with an offer that could change everything, and that's the problem. Kashin Koji's existence itself, it is, no pun intended, a time bomb for the timeline. If his survival is revealed too early, or if Momoshiki exposes him, the timeline, it collapses into paths that not even Kashin Koji's foresight can manage. This isn't just a reckless decision by Boruto, it's Boruto gambling with fate itself. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, is gonna break down to you why Boruto has once again put the timeline in danger, why Kashin Koji's secrecy is the linchpin holding what little remains of a possible future timeline where they win together, and how Japanese Shinto mythology might have already foreshadowed how this deadly gamble shall end, because Naruto and Boruto as series do borrow very heavily from Japanese Shinto and Asian Buddhism. So also, I'll leave the chapter review linked in the description box for anyone who has not seen it yet. And if you got time, head over to my Anime Explained channel where my newest Dandadan video explaining all 24 aliens in the series is up on the channel, and by the time you guys are seeing this, the Sakamoto Days video explaining all 14 members of the Order and every sign Okarun and Momo Ayase are in love should be up on the channel as well. Also on my Everything One Piece Explained channel, my video explaining the Sora Sora no Mi Devil Fruit is up on the channel. Those will be linked in the end credits of this video and the description box for those of you guys who are curious to hear me talk about non-Naruto anime in a strictly objective explained fashion. So getting right into it, Kashin Koji's hidden role in the timeline is pretty big. Unlike almost everyone else in the series, Kashin Koji exists outside the natural flow of the current timeline because he wasn't supposed to exist in general. He was supposed to die when he fought Ishiki. His foresight comes in fragmented updates, not by choice, but only when the world hits a nexus point. In other words, he sees glimpses of multiple possible futures whenever destiny itself shifts, and he comes up with multiple strategies as a result of the information he has. But once things change, all those strategies become null and void. That's why his survival must remain a secret. If too many people know Koji exists, the very act of acknowledging him could wrap events and warp them around him. Think of him like a ghost in a machine. Useful because nobody expects him to be there. But the moment that people know the ghost is in the machine, they might get apprehensive, or they might change how they act when they're around the machine. Things that should happen might not happen now. This is exactly why Boruto, when interrogated, refused to say Kashin Koji's name. He knows exactly how dangerous even a word could be that could betray his new sensei in Koji. And it's why Koji, despite Boruto nearly being killed by Jura, if you notice, he refused to directly intervene. Confirming his existence on the battlefield would have rewritten the timeline before it reached its proper conclusion. This brings me to Boruto's first mistake, Kawaki's limiters and that whole debacle. So let's rewind for a second. Boruto already broke the timeline once when he went to Kawaki and told him to get Amado to remove his limiters. This was not part of Koji's calculated path. According to Boruto, Kawaki would have figured this out later on down the line. That choice alone was enough to create an entirely new set of possible futures, potentially that future that Boruto versus Kawaki takes place in. For Kashin Koji, that was catastrophic. His visions, they're already incomplete, arriving only at key turning points. But when Boruto interfered with Kawaki's destiny, Koji was forced into a blind spot. The future, it became unstable, and so he had to adjust. This tells us something important. Boruto's flaw is that he continues to look for shortcuts. He's progressed from that weakness from Boruto Naruto Next Generations, but it still rears its head every now and then into Blue Vortex, because as a teenager, he's gonna make mistakes and repeat them from time to time. He pushes ahead, making choices that feel right in the moment, but ripple outward in ways that he can't fully control. Kawaki's unlocked power created a dangerous new landscape, and Boruto is still having to learn that justice and learn that lesson in general. This brings me to Boruto's new gamble, which is the momoshiki deal, the gamble that could change everything for the worse. It could be the segue to, was this the only possible outcome? The age of the shinobi is over. Those two iconic lines from the flash forward sequence. So this is the biggest danger of them all. Boruto has approached Momoshiki, not as an enemy, but with an offer. He's willing to give Momoshiki his body, but it's implied Boruto has conditions that we don't know yet. They'll probably be addressed in the next chapter or potentially later on down the line in the form of flashback. So this changes everything. So I'm be saying, hey, Naruto explained why. It's because Momoshiki is not bound by loyalty to Boruto. His own loyalty is to his own ambition, which at the end of the day, he wants a chakra fruit. He wants the Ten Tails to consume Kawaki, which the Ten Tails is Jura, and he wants the destruction that comes with it. He wants to continue to evolve because that's part of the Otsutsuki nature. And that's where the timeline could enter into a dangerous territory. Momoshiki already knows about Kashin Koji. That's the dangerous thing that I see people overlooking. He's been watching everything. We know he has. He's been depressed, and it is funny that Boruto's life as a rogue ninja and all his experiences were that depressing that even the demon locked inside of Boruto's like, fam, I can't take it. Can I get a do-over? I wish I never brought you back to life. And so if he ends up exposing Koji because it serves his purpose, it could lead to a few ripple effects. It could allow him to manipulate Kawaki by making Kawaki do the very thing that he told him in part 1, which is Kawaki is going to allow himself to continue to get used by others until he gets fed to a Ten Tails, or it could be something he does to try to destabilize Boruto. If either of those are possibilities, you better believe that Momoshiki will do it. Remember, Kashin Koji's existence, it must not be confirmed. The moment it is, the delicate balance holding the timeline together, it unravels. By bargaining with Momoshiki, Boruto has introduced a wild card that Kashin Koji likely has not accounted for. This brings me to the Shinto parallels, the hidden god and the trickster. So to truly understand the weight of this situation, we have to look at Japanese Shinto mythology. So one parallel obviously comes from the famous story Amaterasu in the cave after a fight with her brother Susanoo. The sun goddess Amaterasu hid herself in the cave, plunging the world into darkness. The other gods knew that if Amaterasu's presence was revealed or mishandled too soon, the balance of the world, it would collapse. So they had to carefully orchestrate her return at the right moment. This mirrors Kashin Koji's situation, no pun intended, because Ameno Uzume used a mirror and jewels to get Amaterasu out the cave. But his existence is hidden in sunlight when you think about it. So what I mean by that is he is very much like sunlight. If it is revealed too early, it could plunge the world into chaos. Notice how it is a very small number of people that know Kashin Koji is alive. And the ones that should not know, like Kawaki and Amato, they figured it out themselves because they saw the toads. So another parallel also comes from Susanoo, the storm god, often seen as being reckless and destructive. His actions constantly threaten the balance of the heavenly order. Much like Boruto's impulsive choices, Susanoo's behavior forced the other gods to improvise and ultimately adapt, just like Boruto's choices forced Kashin Koji into unpredictable positions. Finally, Momoshiki's role can be compared to tricksters in Shinto lore, like say Inari, the god of rice, which Inari should be the fox god. Those are beings who exploit chaos for their own gain. Tricksters often reveal secrets at the worst possible time, not out of loyalty, but for their own ambition, their own amusement. That's exactly the type of danger that Momoshiki poses here, and I don't think any of us would doubt that Momoshiki would get a kick out of seeing the chaos that this would make, especially because, as the 48 Laws of Power talks about, you stir up the waters to catch a fish. So what does this mean for Boruto's future? That's what you're really here for. You're like, fam, we need to know what's going to happen with Boruto. What does this mean for him? Why do you think this is such a good idea? Well, allow me to continue. So moving forward, what this means is that it's the biggest threat to the timeline, and it's not Jura, it's not Kawaki, it's not the Shinju, It's not Naruto's lost bundle of magazines underneath the floorboard that Hinata's never found. Or maybe she has found them because she's got the Byakugan. Hinata might be freaky, you never know. But it's Boruto himself. His willingness to gamble with forces beyond his control makes him both the savior and the destroyer of his own destiny. You thought I was going to say Momoshiki was the biggest problem, didn't you? I know what you were thinking. However, Kashin Koji warned him directly about his importance of staying in the shadows. Both Kashin Koji not getting involved, but also Boruto only guiding, yet Boruto is very hands-on. He knows that revealing himself too early is dangerous, but Boruto is still ruled by desperation. He wants answers, he wants solutions, he wants to save everyone, he wants to save everyone as quickly as possible. That impatience may be his greatest flaw. That impatience may be what leads to Momoshiki or someone else leveraging Kashin Koji's existence. So that is a warning. I don't think that we necessarily get to this point, but I do think that it is worth noting what Boruto's doing is extremely reckless. This is not a theory. This is not a prediction per se. Again, this is a discussion because as a reader of the series, I understand, like, from an editorial perspective, you want Boruto to do this because it's great conflict. It raises the stakes, but just as somebody that has really watched Boruto's character development, it's in character what he did, and yet part of me felt a little bit disappointed when he approached Momoshiki. And it may just be me, but I did feel a little disappointed that he went this far. So here we are again. Boruto's once again put the timeline in danger. First by unleashing Kawaki's limit-free power, and now by offering his body to Momoshiki. Kashin Koji, the one man who has tried to guide him, albeit it has been from a absolutist mind state. As long as everything takes place the way that he wants it to, Koji has no problem. Kashin Koji has been forced to stay silent from the shadows, and yet it might be that silence that is allowing Boruto to do things he's done. If Momoshiki does expose Kashin Koji's survival, or does something that tips the scales to where other people figure out Koji's alive for real, the entire future could unravel before Boruto's eyes. The question is now simple. Will Boruto learn to respect the flow of fate like Kashin Koji tried to teach him? Or has he already sealed away his own destiny? Has he already made a mistake that he can't come back from? Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, hitting the hype button to boost the video in the algorithm. Also, click here to check out the chapter review, or click here on the right to check out the other two videos from my Anime Explained and One Piece, Everything One Piece Explained channel, which those are strictly lore-based channels, explain videos and things of that nature.